It was a Tuesday afternoon when everything changed. The office hummed with the usual activity. Keyboards clicking, phones ringing, the occasional burst of laughter from the break room. I'd been working at Meridian Marketing for just over 2 years and had settled into a comfortable routine. My boss, Daniel, had always been the epitome of professionalism. Firm but fair, maintaining clear boundaries while still being personable enough that team meetings didn't feel like torture. That's why the email that popped into my inbox at 3:47 p.m. caught me off guard. "Can we have a quick chat in my office at 4:30? Nothing to worry about." Those last 4 words, of course, immediately made me worry. I spent the next 43 minutes mentally cataloging every mistake I might have made in the past month. Was it the Henderson proposal that I'd submitted a day late? Or maybe someone had complained about my comment in the last team meeting. By the time I knocked on Daniel's door, my palms were sweaty and my heart was racing. "Come in," he called, his voice slightly muffled through the door. I stepped inside and immediately noticed something different. The blinds were lowered, casting the room in a softer light than usual. Daniel's office typically had an open, transparent feel to it, blinds up, door often ajar. But not today. Today, the space felt intimate, enclosed, like we were stepping into a different dimension where the usual office rules might not apply. Daniel was standing by the window, hands in his pockets, looking out through the slats of the blinds. He turned when I entered, and I noticed immediately that his tie was loosened, another departure from his typically immaculate appearance. "Thanks for coming," he said, and his voice was softer than usual, missing the authoritative edge that characterized our work interactions. "Have a seat." He gestured to the chair across from his desk, but instead of taking his usual position behind it, he pulled out the chair beside mine and sat there instead. The removal of the desk barrier between us felt significant in a way I couldn't quite articulate. Let me explain why these details matter. In any workplace, we become attuned to patterns. We notice when something disrupts the established order. The lowered blinds, the softened voice, the abandoned desk, these weren't just random changes. They were signals that whatever was about to happen existed outside our normal professional relationship. I sat down, trying to keep my expression neutral despite the anxiety bubbling inside me. "Is everything okay?" I asked, aiming for casual, but hearing the slight tremor in my voice. Daniel didn't answer immediately. He leaned back in his chair, ran a hand through his hair, another uncharacteristic gesture, and sighed. "I've been thinking about how to approach this conversation all day," he finally said. "And I still don't know if I'm doing the right thing." My mind raced through possibilities. Was I being fired? Transferred? Had there been budget cuts I hadn't heard about? Was the company restructuring? Each possibility seemed worse than the last. "I need to tell you something," he continued. "And I need to ask that what we discuss stays between us, at least for now." He paused, meeting my eyes directly for the first time since I'd entered the room. "Can you promise me that?" I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. The atmosphere in the room had shifted from merely unusual to genuinely tense. I could hear the muffled sounds of the office beyond the door. Normal life continuing while whatever this was unfolded in our private bubble. Daniel took a deep breath. "I'm leaving Meridian," he said. The words hung in the air between us. "I've been offered a position at Apex Innovations, and I've decided to take it." Relief flooded through me. This wasn't about me at all, followed immediately by confusion. Why the secrecy? Why the closed blinds and hushed tones? Company transitions happened all the time. And then came a third emotion, disappointment. Daniel had been a good boss, someone I respected and enjoyed working with. The thought of him leaving created an unexpected hollow feeling. "That's congratulations," I managed, trying to sound sincere despite my confusion. "But why are you telling me like this? And why just me?" Here's where the conversation took a turn I never could have anticipated. Daniel leaned forward slightly, his voice dropping even lower. "Because I want you to come with me," he said. "Apex has approved 2 positions. I'm taking one, and I've recommended you for the other." I blinked, processing his words. "You want me to leave Meridian too?" He nodded. "The role would be a significant step up from your current position. More responsibility, better compensation, and a chance to work on more innovative projects." He paused. "But I need to be clear about something. This isn't just a professional recommendation. I've valued working with you more than you probably realize. Your perspective, your creativity, your approach to challenges, they've made me a better manager, a better professional. The sincerity in his voice was unmistakable, and I felt a flush creep up my neck. Our working relationship had always been positive, but I hadn't realized he held me in such high regard. It was flattering, confusing, and slightly overwhelming all at once. The thing is, he continued, if we both leave for the same company, especially with me having been involved in your hiring, people will talk. They'll make assumptions about our relationship. I need you to understand that before you consider the offer. And there it was, the reason for the closed blinds, the lowered voices. Daniel wasn't just offering me a job. He was acknowledging that such a move would create perceptions, rumors perhaps, about the nature of our relationship. Perceptions that might not align with the professional reality we had maintained. I don't care what people think, I said, perhaps too quickly. If the opportunity is right, their assumptions are their problem. Daniel smiled, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. It's not that simple, and you know it. Workplace dynamics are complicated. Perceptions become reality in many cases. I don't want to damage your reputation or career by having people think you advanced because of anything other than your merit. The unspoken implication hung in the air between us. He was worried people would think there was something romantic or inappropriate between us. The irony wasn't lost on me. Here we were, having a completely professional conversation about career advancement. Yet the very secrecy required to have this conversation created exactly the appearance we were trying to avoid. I appreciate your concern, I said carefully. But I also need to make decisions based on what's best for my career, not on what rumors might circulate. Daniel nodded. Of course. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation privately first. The formal offer will come through proper channels. You'll have time to consider it, to weigh all the factors. I just wanted you to hear it from me first, to understand the context and my personal endorsement. We talked for another 20 minutes about the specifics of the role, the company culture at Apex, the projects I might be working on. Throughout the conversation, I couldn't help but notice how different Daniel seemed in this setting. More animated, more personal. He shared his own reasons for making the move, his frustrations with some of Meridian's more conservative approaches, his excitement about the innovation happening at Apex. It was the most genuine I'd ever seen him. As our conversation wound down, he stood and moved back toward the window, lifting the blinds. Light flooded back into the room, and with it, a return to our usual professional dynamic. Think about it, he said, his voice returning to its normal volume and tone. The official offer should come through by the end of the week. No pressure, but I do hope you'll consider it seriously. I nodded, standing as well. I will. And thank you for thinking of me. He smiled. You earn the consideration. Remember that, regardless of what you decide or what anyone might say. As I turned to leave, my hand on the doorknob, he added, oh, and if anyone asks what our meeting was about. Budget revisions for the Thompson account. I supplied, understanding immediately the need for a cover story until things were official. He nodded, grateful. Exactly. I left his office and returned to my desk, my mind spinning. The opportunity was exciting, no doubt. A better position, more money, more creative freedom. But I couldn't stop thinking about the way Daniel had approached it. The lowered blinds, the hushed tones, the acknowledgement that people might misinterpret our professional relationship. Had there been something else there, something unspoken? Or was I reading into things, creating subtext where none existed? The next few days were strange. Daniel and I maintained our usual professional interactions in the office, but there was a new undercurrent to our exchanges, a shared secret, a pending decision. I caught myself analyzing every interaction, wondering if others noticed anything different. Did that lingering glance at the coffee machine mean something? Was his question about my weekend plans just friendly conversation or something more? I hated that I was even having these thoughts, that the seed of doubt had been planted. When the official offer came through from Apex on Friday afternoon, I wasn't surprised by the details. Daniel had been accurate in his description. What did surprise me was my own hesitation. The opportunity was objectively excellent. In any other circumstance, I would have accepted immediately. But I kept coming back to that conversation in his office, to the lowered blinds and softened voices. Here's what I realized, and why this matters beyond just my personal experience. Workplaces are complex social environments where perception and reality often blur. Daniel had been right to be concerned about how our simultaneous departure might look to others. But in trying to address that concern privately, We had inadvertently created exactly the kind of secretive scenario that could fuel rumors. I spent the weekend weighing my options, trying to separate the professional opportunity from the complicated dynamics with Daniel. By Sunday evening, I had made my decision. I would accept the position at Apex, but with one condition, that I would report to a different department head, not directly to Daniel. It was a compromise that would allow me to take advantage of the career opportunity while establishing clear professional boundaries from the start. Monday morning, I requested another meeting with Daniel. This time, I made sure we met in a conference room with glass walls, visible to anyone passing by. No lowered blinds, no hushed tones. I'm accepting the offer, I told him straightforwardly. But I think it would be best if I reported to someone else at Apex. I saw a flicker of something cross his face. Disappointment? Relief? It was gone too quickly to interpret. I think that's wise, he said after a moment. I'll speak to the executive team about restructuring the reporting lines. The conversation was brief, professional, and conducted in full view of our colleagues. As we stood to leave, Daniel extended his hand. I look forward to working with you at Apex, even if not directly. I shook his hand, noting the formality of the gesture. Likewise, in the weeks that followed, as we both worked out our notice periods at Meridian, I noticed a shift in our interactions. The uncertainty was gone, replaced by a clearer understanding of boundaries. We were colleagues who respected each other's work, who would soon be moving to the same new company, but with intentional professional distance. When rumors inevitably circulated about our departures, they focused primarily on the business implications rather than any personal connection. A few knowing glances were exchanged, a few whispered conversations stopped when I entered rooms, but nothing substantive materialized. By making our professional boundaries clear, we had largely defused the potential for damaging gossip. The experience taught me something important about workplace relationships. It's not just about avoiding impropriety. It's about avoiding even the appearance of impropriety. Daniel's concern had been valid, but his approach, the private meeting, the lowered blinds, the softened voices, had inadvertently created exactly the kind of secretive atmosphere that could fuel speculation. I've now been at Apex for 6 months. Daniel and I work in different departments, interact occasionally in cross-functional meetings, and maintain a cordial professional relationship. The opportunity has indeed been everything he promised: more responsibility, better compensation, more innovative projects. I've grown professionally in ways that wouldn't have been possible at Meridian. Sometimes I wonder if there was more to Daniel's interest in bringing me along than just professional respect. The lowered blinds, the intimate conversation. Was there an unspoken dimension there? But I've come to believe that it doesn't actually matter. What matters is that we both made choices that prioritized professional integrity and clear boundaries. In any workplace, relationships exist on multiple levels. We connect as colleagues, sometimes as friends, occasionally with undertones of something more complex. The key is recognizing these dynamics and making conscious choices about how to navigate them. Daniel and I chose to prioritize our professional futures over any potential personal complications, and in doing so, protected both our reputations and our careers. That conversation in his office, blinds lowered, voices softened, could have been the beginning of a very different story. Instead, it became a turning point in my professional development, teaching me not just about career opportunities, but about the complex interpersonal dynamics that shape our work lives. As I look back now, I realize that what initially felt like an uncomfortable, possibly inappropriate interaction was actually a valuable lesson in professional boundaries. The lowered blinds weren't hiding anything improper. They were creating a space for a difficult conversation about perception and reality in the workplace. And in the end, we both emerged with our professional integrity intact, our careers advanced, and a clearer understanding of how to navigate the complex human dynamics that exist in every workplace. The quick chat with my straight boss didn't lead where rumors might have suggested. Instead, it led to a better understanding of professional boundaries and the courage to advance my career on my own terms. And for that unexpected lesson, I remain grateful. Total _char_count, 17,862.